Welcome to Growth Marketer Academy with Ryan and Andrea Eldridge. If you're running any business, but particularly an e-commerce site and not using email marketing, you're leaving easy money on the table.
But it's not all about sales and promotion blasts.
That's right. To maintain your audience and not end up in the dreaded spam folder, you need to engage with a variety of helpful relationship building emails.
Oh man, you're not going to get all mushy, are you?
I guess you'll have to stay tuned to find out.
This is Ryan Eldridge.
And this is Andrea Eldridge.
Welcome to Growth Marketer Academy.
This is episode 20 of the Growth Marketer Academy podcast.
I'm Ryan Eldridge, Chief Strategist at Squirrel Digital Marketing.
And this is Andrea Eldridge, Creative Director at Squirrel Digital Marketing.
So this is the second in our two-part series about how to effectively craft an e-commerce email that converts.
So if you missed last week's episode, make sure to go back and check it out.
Because you're going to need to know how to craft great emails before you can put together a really effective campaign.
That's right. Which brings us to today's topic, what kinds of email series you need to engage with and motivate your customer base to keep reading.
That's right. It's not all about sales and promotion emails. You're not going to send the constant 20% off like we talked about last episode, how Nordstrom sends an email every bloody day.
That's right.
Sometimes 2 or 3 times a day and just inundates you with promotional offers.
It doesn't matter how well designed your emails are. If you are just sending offer after offer, you're going to get turned off. Yeah. It's important to remember that no two customers are alike, so you need to target and personalize your message.
So you generally want to start with the stages of a customer's normal life cycle, and segment your email list appropriately. So in stage 1, you've got potential customers and first-time buyers. In stage 2, you're looking at repeat buyers, people that you want them to come back and purchase a second time or third or fourth, fifth, 20th. And then, of course, stage 3 is the lapsed buyers, people that have stopped engaging with your brand or stopped coming to your website and you're trying to reactivate them.
And you want to target customers using specific email campaigns and triggers at each stage of this purchase life cycle. And this is going to increase your likelihood of conversion. For example, if you send potential buyers an email series that focuses on building trust, that can encourage you to win their first purchase, whereas you'd use a different series to incentivize existing customers to buy from you again.
That sounds like a lot of work.
I'm not going to lie, it is not a cakewalk. But the good news is you can automate most of these emails, and so once you build them out once, they can return dividends for you for years to come. So the first step to turning your emails into an invisible around-the-clock sales team is to start with stage 1.
So before we get too deep into this, when we're talking about automating this stuff, we're not talking about just throwing everybody into your Gmail account and pressing send, right?
Right.
We're talking about using actual marketing automation software or email automation software. I don't know what episode it is that we did it on, but we covered this extensively about which kind of software to choose. So you're going to want to get something to help you with this process to build out these campaigns. So that way they can run automatically and then react behaviorally to your customers rather than you just creating this giant email and blind CCing everybody.
Yeah, no, then that looks really terrible. So definitely use some of the amazing email automation tools out there to write it once, segment your audience, and have it automatically send the messages periodically to new customers that enter those pools without you having to go, oh gosh, I just made a sale to John. I need to send him a message. That is never going to work, and you should just probably swap to the next episode if you aren't willing to do automation, because you're going to have to do it.
So stage 1, that's your potential or first-time buyer customers, people that are already interested and are first-time engaging with your brand.
That's right. So most people take time to make a purchase. They don't just stumble upon your website and go, yep, buy in today. In fact, 98% of visitors to your site won't buy on their first visit or to any e-commerce store. And this is a statistic from Inc.com. Online shoppers, they just shop around. They are considering your competitors, no matter how amazing you are. So that's why at this stage, if you can get their email address, that is a score. It's a really good coup there, because you can use that opportunity to welcome potential customers into your family establish a link to your brand culture, and then nurture them towards that eventual purchase through a number of different tools.
So the first email series that you'll want to craft for this is called the welcome email series.
Now, this welcome email is super important. It's your first exchange between your business and a potential customer. In fact, 74% of consumers expect a welcome email. So you can expect 4 times more opens and 5 times the click-through rate of other promotional emails, because people are they recognize them, they're expecting them. When they give you an email address, they expect you to email them.
Yeah.
And so your open rates are going to be the best they're going to be at this level. So you want to make sure that you use that opportunity as effectively as possible.
And if you're like me and you think that Andrea makes up every statistic, we're going to have all those statistics in the show notes so you can see the made-up websites that she created to support her crazy facts.
Of course.
So let's talk about crafting a great welcome email. In general, you want to keep it brief. You want to include some visuals, something that's exciting to look at. And then you want to do some of the following. You want to extend a big hearty welcome. You want to define what makes you different from your competitors. What is your value proposition? You want to inform subscribers of what to expect next. You don't want to suddenly surprise them with a freaking email every day and have them throw you in spam. Instead, you want to give them an idea of how often you're going to send them emails, how often you're going to be sending promotional offers or whatever. Then you want to make an offer. Why not? This is, if you're going to get these huge open rates on your first email and your welcome email, at least extend them a first time offer. And then you want to promote your social profiles. You want to give them something to do after they've read this email to continue to engage with your brand.
Well, and the opportunity to connect with you on whatever platform they like best. I mean, not everybody likes email, and if their preference is to use Twitter or Facebook to stay connected with your brand, give them the opportunity to do that. And in the show notes, we're actually giving lots of different examples of emails that do this well, so that if you're not really sure from our conversation here what to visualize, make sure you check out the show notes at
growthmarketeracademy.com, or you can go to squirreldigitalmarketing.com/podcast and check out the show notes.
That's it. Yes, that's it. Okay. So at this stage, you're also basically having the opportunity to say hello and welcome to the family.
So in that big list I just gave, you don't have to do all of those things in your first welcome email.
That's right.
You just want to select a few of those that resonate with you and your brand, right? If you're Jiffy Lube, maybe the whole welcome to the family isn't going to be 100% resonate, but an offer 100% will get your customers moving, right? So consider your audience, consider your brand before you just start, oh, well, they said to put these 5 things in. Sure, I'll throw them all in. It's going to be a 20-page email, but that's cool.
Yeah, I got to everything.
Yeah.
Pick the ones that work best for you. That's right. So at this stage, the first thing that your reader should see when they open your message is a friendly greeting. I mean, it's a welcome and it's an establishment of a relationship with your brand. It makes recipients feel appreciated. You're going to test out phrases like welcome to the family or thanks for subscribing. So we've included an example from Virgin America because they did a really cute job where they basically say welcome aboard, we'll be in touch. And then it's got a little thing that you can say, it says grab a seat. So it just engages and introduces the brand of being kind of cutesy and tongue-in-cheek. So this is a really great opportunity to really establish a little glimpse into your brand culture, give them a reason to believe that it's going to be fun to have a relationship with you instead of like, oh, goody, so there's just going to be more emails coming. Let me just hit spam now.
And she touched on it real briefly, but in terms of behavior, you always want to reinforce proper behavior. So if somebody does something for you, you have to give them a reward. And your reward in this case might be just as simple as a thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining. Something like that, because you want them to feel like I did something for you. I expect you to give me something in return, and praise or some sort of recognition of that sacrifice. Even if it's just an email, it's still a sacrifice to them.
Yeah, and show your appreciation.
Yeah.
You're also going to take this opportunity to introduce yourself and your brand. So this is your chance to sell yourself to an early customer who may not be completely on board yet. You're going to use there are a number of different ways you can do this. You can share your brand story, provided that it doesn't get too long and wordy. I know we've seen some of these that go on a little too long, and that can backfire. Let people know what makes you different or special or unique. Why should they be more inclined to commit to you and your brand than the competitors that we know that they're shopping with? and identify the reason why someone should shop from you rather than a competitor.
And just to get some resources outside of this podcast that you can help you, there's a wonderful book by Simon Semeniak that wrote something like, God, I can't think of the exact title. It was something like Why, Find Your Why, or People Purchase Your Why, something like that. I'll have to figure out what it is and put it in the show notes. But he wrote a great book that talks about creating a movement rather than a brand. And people will follow your why, even if they don't follow necessarily like your, we sell tires, right? But if you say, well, we sell tires that are eco-friendly and then we want to protect the environment, then people can jump on board that cause, right? Or you can check out Donald Miller's Story Brand. He talks about how to create a story around your brand that's consistent, that customers can again follow and become loyal to. Remember, most people, when they're engaging with a brand, that loyalty isn't because of some logical reason. They're not like, oh, well, I really like them because they're 2.2 miles from my home and they ship on time or whatever. It's usually an emotional decision that they've attached to this brand. And so you want to continue to foster that, give them a reason why to follow you.
And at this stage in your welcome message, you're really establishing that emotional connection.
Yeah. One last thing. One other source you can go to is if you just go to YouTube and type in attractive character email series.
That could be dangerous, by the way.
Attractive character email series.
That's a better
There
specific.
is a whole series of emails you can send that establish an attractive character for your brand rather than just your brand. So if you have a real gregarious, fun-loving or charismatic leader in your organization, people can then become loyal to that person rather than the brand, and it gives you this more personalized connection.
The Ronald McDonald School of Advertising.
Ronald McDonald, Tony Tiger, Steve Jobs, all of that. I mean, there are people that love Steve Jobs but don't necessarily care much about Apple.
That's right.
But they will buy because of who they know Steve Jobs was.
You're also going to use this email to set some expectations. Let recipients know about the type of content and the frequency of emails that they can expect from you. This can actually be the difference between your email making it into their inbox and staying in their inbox versus you getting designated as spam.
Because remember, you only really want to be sending emails to people who want them. Nobody's going to be successful sending a bunch of emails to a bunch of people who just don't care and don't want them. You're not going to accidentally make a sale. It's just not going to happen. And so you want to set up real early on. If they don't want to get your emails, let them unsubscribe. Get them off your list. Stop wasting their time, wasting your time. What you want to do is just the people who are interested. And so that's kind of setting that expectation of you're going to get an email once a week from me, and it's going to be around these subjects. That's more acceptable than what Nordstrom's does. God dang Nordstrom's every day.
Well, and I can say that those brands, at least for me personally, that don't make it easy enough for me to choose what content I want, that basically, like, I'm sure you've all had this experience where you say, yeah, no, I really don't want this much. And so you say, stop emailing me. And then they email you from a different address, like some other time down the road. And you're like, no, seriously, I really said I was done with this. Yeah. So if you can segment out when they do have the opportunity to unsubscribe, to like just give them choices to say unsubscribe from promotional emails, unsubscribe from all, or like allow them to pick and choose what things they might still want, or even
newsletter.
Say their frequency. Like that would be really nice to be able to give a customer the opportunity to say, I don't want to get more than one update from you a month. I would be like, okay, well that's great.
Yeah, at least you don't lose them.
Stay on the list. You can, at this stage, provide an incentive. So this is going to be, again, dependent on your brand and your customer and whether or not at this early stage you feel like you've gotten an email from them and you want to give that, offer or discount or some sort of gift as a thank you for getting their email. Encourage them to stay on your list if you feel like they're motivated by discounts. Because ultimately incentives do motivate action. It reduces the level of risk associated with trying out your product. So if you feel like there may be some hesitation for someone who's not as familiar with your brand giving you a try, then it takes some of the risk away there. And it can help turn an on-the-fence window shopper into a loyal customer. Yeah. So some brands that do this really regularly, like Gap and Old Navy, as soon as you give them your email address to these brands, they'll send you an offer. In fact, a lot of times on their opt-in, it's like, do you want a discount? We'll email it to you. So if you feel like that's something that will work for your specific customer, that, this isn't going to be as appropriate for a product that's got a longer research cycle, but it can work for those impulse purchases, particularly a low price item.
Yeah, if I'm a plumber and I just have a little email list, most people aren't going to be interested in my plumbing tips for 2018, but they might sign up to get a quick discount on a drain clog. We'll clear your drain clog for 25% off, blah, blah, blah.
Although I don't know, I'm pretty interested in, drain care tips.
Yeah,
myself.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get you some places. I'll sign you up for some places.
I'm sure. Okay. And incentives, keep in mind, don't always have to mean discounts. It may be a free shipping option. It may be a gift. It may be redeemable brand bonus points for your loyalty program. So there's lots of different ways you can do this without necessarily giving away money.
Yeah. Next, you can get social. This is basically just allowing them to find you on social media. You can put the social media icons in the signature, or you can say, hey, now that you're part of our family, go check us out on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram or wherever it is that you have. And you can even give them reasons for joining or following your brand on those networks. Like, hey, we give special offers on Facebook, or sometimes we do special incentives for Instagram, or we do tutorials or tips when we go live once a week on Tuesdays on Facebook.
That's right. And that can be really beneficial if you're going to use those forums for marketing, because the more people that follow your brand, the easier it's going to be for you to create custom audiences and make like audiences that match those people that are actually interested in your brand. So those social connections are really valuable. So once you've gotten your welcome email taken care of, you're going to be entering into a lead nurturing email series. And ultimately, this is because, a one-time welcome email may be enough to get some shoppers to buy from you, but the majority of them are still going to require a little bit more hand-holding, a little bit more nurturing. So you can use a few emails to warm those leads up until the point when they're ready to buy.
It's really the difference between, I don't know, like a one-time customer interaction where I'm just going to hit it and quit it, versus a long-term relationship where this customer and I are going to be on this journey together for as long as possible. We want to increase the lifetime value of our customer by getting multiple purchases over time rather than just the one-time purchase, right? Yeah. So I was going to say something crude, but then I looked at my wife and I said I wouldn't.
Yes, I appreciate that. So one of the important things is that you don't want these messages to be promotional. You want to be helpful at this stage. Establish yourself as the source of useful info or tips. I know we probably mentioned before the idea of being registering yourself with that potential customer as the expert in the field, but also an expert that isn't looking just to get their money, that's like there to be helpful, and that makes your potential customer more inclined to go to you when they do need you, because it may be that they don't need your product or service right this moment, but if you establish yourself as a source of useful, helpful information, they'll feel more comfortable purchasing from you when they're ready. So again, we gave another example of how a company called FrameBridge does this with new members to their email list. It's not an email that's like, get 20% off your frame purchase or why you must get frames today. It's an email that talks about how to hang your art and gives like useful tips for hanging your art in your home.
In the email, it actually gives you these step-by-step instructions with these really nice, well-done pictures. Just basically, here's how you measure, here's how you hammer, here's how you hang. And if you're going to buy a frame someone, you're obviously going to hang a photo or picture frame. This just gives you your next step, right? Buy my frame, here's what the next step is going to be.
Another benefit of this type of email series is that it shows your customer that you understand the problems that they face. It helps you educate, tell stories, entertain. There's so much information that you can give in this email series without it all being about why you need to spend your money. Yeah. It's like, we can be helpful, and you want to see these emails from us occasionally, not every day, in your inbox. And when you're ready to buy, then your brand is going to be the first one that they think of. So
when it comes to educating your customers, anyone can and should educate their leads. It positions you as an authority, as an influence in your niche. And so we gave you another example of a great company that did this called Beard Brand. And so they sell, obviously, trimmers and razors for beards and mustaches. And what they do is they have a series of videos that show you how to, I don't know, from a lack of a better term, manscape, how to like make your beard and mustache frame and change the way your face looks, and how to like trim it to make it look nice, and gives you different techniques and stuff. And they just give you a series of video clips in the email that then just takes you to their YouTube channel. And that is really great. I mean, if I had a big bushy beard and I was like, oh, I really want to sculpt this and make it look more Roman, then hey, look at this. I got this great video that shows me how to do that.
And Sephora, I know we've mentioned in previous podcasts, does this really well too with their series of tutorial videos. Again, it puts not only your products in context so that your customer can really see how they could use your product effectively, but it positions you as the expert and someone who's helpful as well. And your first step here is really to determine the type of content that aligns with your product and relates to your audience. So you're going to want to ask yourself a few questions.
So you can ask, for example, who are my customers? What do they care about? What kinds of problems are they facing? Is there a way that you can provide some sort of insight into how to solve the problem that they're dealing with?
Mm-hmm. And you can basically at this point create a video or a detailed how-to guide. You could provide a curated collection of links to existing how-to videos on YouTube if you don't feel like you want to reinvent the wheel and the stuff already exists. Or you could offer a checklist for related activities. There's a lot of different ways that you can be helpful. But the main thing is to keep the focus away from selling your product so much as you could show your product in use, but you're not looking to like drive you must buy this right now.
Yeah, I think we talked about it before. At one point our pilot light went out in our water heater. And we're like, I don't know how to freaking fix that. And so we looked up YouTube videos, and sure enough, there was a local plumber who'd made a video on how to light your pilot light. And while luckily it lit, but I think a few weeks later, we ended up buying a new water heater. And it's that education that made us go, hey, we trust this brand because look, they gave us this free advice and showed us how to do this thing.
Right.
I don't know if that's exactly who we purchased from, but it certainly would have influenced us if we'd seen that video right at the time of our purchase.
Right. That's right. You also will use this nurturing series to continue your brand story. You're basically going to talk about how your business got started, what drives it today. Again, stuff that you feel like is truly relevant and engaging to build connection with your brand. So you're not just generally being like, well, in 1992, I decided I wanted to be a plumber. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to, as long as that story is unique and engaging and offers an opportunity for a customer to feel that your brand offers some sort of connection that they can engage with.
And remember, people actually will read these things. So you don't want to just kind of spit up a bunch of words on a page and go, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And just to get the task done, if it's something where you have trouble writing, you're not very good at storytelling, you can certainly hire people to do this. ProBlogger.com has huge ads of people who are looking to help people write stories. And so you can get someone to help you with this process if you're not great at it.
Yeah, and keep in mind this email is going to be around for, months, but probably years to come.
Yeah.
So it's worth putting the time in to make it creative, make it engaging, get it right at this stage so that customers stay on your list ongoing.
So another way you can engage with your customers in this same frame of telling your brand stories, you can include user reviews. Just say, hey, Sally from Oklahoma said such and such. It allows you to use someone else's story to allay fears of your customers. It can also continue winning their trust because they see the social proof that, hey, Sally in Oklahoma said it was good. It probably is good because Sally seems pretty legit.
Right. Well, and you can also share stories from your employees because those will help to humanize your brand. It's really a lot easier to engage with a customer or potential lead that feels like your brand is full of people than that your brand is just, a conglomerate company that's out for profit. So we gave another example of a brand called Huckberry that does a really good job telling their story as well as kind of showing what makes them unique and developing their brand culture in an email. So if you're not sure of how this would work example-wise, check that out in the show notes.
So next, you want to entertain your audience. If you just write giant paragraphs of boring text about statistics and things and whatever, you're going to turn them off anyway. You want to, if they're going to invest their time in reading your email, entertain them a little bit. And again, you can crack a joke, you can be funny, you can be kind of cool, you can call out certain things that are just unique about the brand or about the experience people can have. Like, give you an example. I know we're about to talk about another airline, but it's the difference between going on a Southwest flight and having the flight attendant sing to you as you're landing or singing the safety features of video, right? Versus going on a United Airlines flight where it's just blah, 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 blah. There are 6 exits and it's 747. It's the same information, but when Southwest does it, you're like, that's pretty cool. They went a little bit extra. And it wasn't that much energy to do a little song versus just droning on about the same thing I've heard every time about where the life rafts are.
Yeah, and I think Southwest is a brand that does a really good job of engaging. JetBlue does as well, which we'll get to in just a second. And you had mentioned earlier on about how much of the buying decision process is made emotionally. There's another statistic, which I tracked down, which says 90% of purchase decisions are made subconsciously driven by emotions. So if you can engage with that person and kind of win their hearts over, it will lead to better engagement and better sales from your leads and customers.
Yeah. If we weren't driven by emotion in our decisions, especially in buying things, right, we would all wear just plain cotton outfits, right? But the reason why we wear bright colors or we choose certain brands or we choose certain styles is because we're emotional people, and we look at this, we want to be cool, we want to look like this, we want to look like that, and those are all decisions made that we then later on go, well, the reason I bought it was because they really care about the environment, or they blah blah blah. Those are all logical decisions or logical reasons we use to back up our emotional choice.
So we included an example from JetBlue, which just does a really great job of engaging in a fun and just kind of cute way. It starts off with saying, let's get to know each other, ready to take this relationship to new heights. And then it's got stuff like, things we could do on a date, any date, your choice, see a movie together, grab a drink, get a bite to eat, plan our next date together. And it's basically using those as tie-ins to say what's offered on their flights. And so it's a really cute way for that new customer to go, okay, I kind of like this brand. I like the way that they're, kind of tongue-in-cheek and I feel comfortable. That's what a nurturing email is all about, is to establish that relationship. So your lead nurturing email campaign should have a defined timeline. The optimal length is largely going to depend on your industry and your target audience, but you want to pay close attention to how you space those nurturing emails. So in some markets, that's going to be, pretty quickly back to back, how often you'll send those messages. But in other markets, it may mean that your timeline looks like, you send your welcome email on day 1. You don't send your first lead nurturing email until day 8, and then your next one on day 15. So space them out appropriately so that you're not overwhelming your customer, ending up on your spam lists just simply from frequency overload. Yeah. So each email in this segment should build up or soft sell your final offer. And that final offer is ultimately going to end with a promotional email, because if at this stage they haven't taken the hint and actually committed to your brand, it may mean that they're price driven. You've developed the trust through this, talking about your brand and really engaging. And now you just need to basically nudge them over the finish line.
It's kind of like meeting someone for the first time, and you either, whether you want to be friends with them or you want to date them or whatever, we'll have a conversation for a little while. I might buy a couple of drinks for you, but at some point I've got to figure out if this is going to work, right? And so I'm going to eventually have to say, hey, do you want to go out? Do you want to go to the next stage of this relationship? Otherwise, it's just two people just chit-chatting in a coffee bar, and I'll walk away and you'll walk away, and we'll be like, that was
kind of a waste of time.
Kind of a waste of time for everybody. So you do have to eventually make your offer and see if they'll go for it.
If they'll bite for it. Yeah. And there's a few different ways you can do this. Obviously the coupon email, that's pretty straightforward. Probably don't need to give a lot of explanation on that one. But you basically want to make sure that you include a reason for the offer to improve your conversion. So if you set a time limit, you can create some urgency. Again, keep in mind, you don't have to give a discount. There's lots of other ways that you can offer something as a promotion, whether it be free shipping or bonus points, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Next option at this stage, the last part of your nurturing cycle, would be something we would term a browse abandonment email. So this basically comes down to personalization. You want to use a marketing automation tool to log and trigger a page when someone visits a product page but doesn't buy, and then send them a reminder about it. So I've gotten these often from Target. Target does this a lot, where anything that I've kind of clicked on from an ad or from some promotional material that they've sent to me, even if I don't put it in the cart, if I just look at it, from that point on, over like a few days later, they'll be like, hey, you were looking at summer dresses. Do you want to see a few more? Or this one just went on sale. Something tied specifically to what I looked for. It's more personal, and I'm more likely to take them up on coming back to the site when it's obviously something I've been interested in the past.
So even Amazon does this. If you go to Amazon.com, you browse a couple of things, and then you leave. If you log into Facebook within the next few hours, you'll suddenly see, oh, look, there's all the stuff I was looking at. So it's just their version of abandonment series is they're catching you on Facebook rather than sending you an email. But they certainly could have just sent me an email and said, hey, by the way, you were looking at that camera. We've got these other accessories also available, or whatever.
Related stuff. And you could offer a discount on the specific item that they're looking at, which again, just to kind of nudge them further. That's basically a close cousin to the cart abandonment email, which is the next thing we would recommend as an option for that.
But it's more of a browse abandonment.
Yes.
Right? I looked at summer dresses, but I didn't put one in my cart.
Right.
Yeah.
A cart abandonment email is even more straightforward. It's pretty much like, if you're not doing this, goodness gracious, you really should. Yeah. Basically, this is when customers or potential customers have put an item in their cart. Like, they were interested enough to actually say, I think I might want to buy this. And then they left. You don't know why, but it happens so often. It's hugely common for first-time site visitors to browse and actually put something in a cart. And it doesn't mean they don't have the intent to return, but they just might not remember to. And we have another graphic in the show notes that basically says 99% of site visitors won't buy on the first visit. 25% of those will abandon and never return, but 75% that leave intend to come back, but just for one reason or another, they may or may not.
Those that put something in the cart, they have an intention to come back and purchase it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and interesting, almost 70% of all shopping carts are abandoned.
There's so many shopping carts. When you walk around the city now, there's just these sad little shopping carts all over everywhere because people just abandon them in the middle of nowhere.
In the internet.
So sad.
So sad. So Business Insider actually reported that this costs online retailers $4.6 trillion in sales every year because of stuff that people just never make it back to.
Yeah, I don't know how many shoe websites I'll go to in a week.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
A lot.
And I'll look at some shoes and go, oh, these are great. And I'll put a couple in my cart and I'm like, yeah, this is really nice. Now, technically, I know I'm not going to buy all those shoes. But part of why I do it is I want to see if they're going to send me back a discount afterwards to try to get me to come back. I'm also, just from scientifically, I just want to see what they do when I do that kind of thing. And so if I've got a couple of shoes in there and my intention was to put those shoes in there to purchase them, but then I got drawn away, a phone call came up, I had to go pick up my kids from school or whatever, I may not ever remember to go back. I'm not going to have that same emotional drive that I had when I put it in my cart and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to get them sweet wingtips. And then a few days later, maybe I'm not as excited about those wingtips. But this way, it can kind of reinvigorate you. Oh, that's right. I was going to get those.
I forgot about those. Yeah. So you should view abandonment as more of an opportunity instead of just lost dollars, because while you can't recover every penny that's lost in this game, you are going to be able to win back some of those sales. But there are a few things to keep in mind. In order to be effective, this cart abandonment email, you really have to understand what has caused the shopper to leave the purchase mid-process. And there are a junk ton of reasons. We've included a graphic in the show notes again. The largest reason is that they're presented with unexpected costs. So if somebody puts something in the cart and then they go, oh, that's right, that makes it more expensive than I thought because of shipping and handling, or there's some sort of like minimum for me to get free shipping or something like that. And I'm not really, I didn't want to spend $100. I just wanted to spend $37.
That just recently happened. I bought a couple of pairs of yoga pants from Gymshark for you. And I have a little, what do you call it? A browser do you call that?
Plugin.
Oh,
Browser plugin.
I have a browser plugin from Honey that will give me discount coupons at the checkout. And sure enough, I had several discount coupons, and one of them was like free shipping, and the shipping was $10. And I was like, oh, I don't want to pay $10 to ship 2 pairs of yoga pants. That's ridiculous, right? And so Honey went through all their coupon codes and said, hey, here's one for free shipping. And so I plugged it in, and then it said not valid with this purchase. It turns out I had to have $99 worth of yoga pants to get $10 off on my shipping. And I was buying, like $47 worth of yoga pants. And I was like, oh, that's lame, super lame. So anyway, there's a good example of why unexpected costs might make someone abandon their cart.
So think through all the various reasons that are likely to be the case, and then your cart abandonment email really should address those pain points that are most likely to have caused that person not to come back.
Yeah. And remember, time is of the essence. 72% of all customers who buy from a cart abandonment email will do so within 24 hours of the cart abandonment. Remember, they're kind of in this hot stage of, oh, I just put this in my cart. I really want this. I want to do this. I'm ready to go. They have all this intention, and that slowly fades over time. And so the quicker you can get them back to that same emotional state they were when they were trying to buy, the better you are.
And at this stage, within the first 24 hours, I would suggest that you don't start with giving stuff away, that ultimately you just start with a reminder, because that's at this stage, they're already still relatively emotionally invested. And for a good number of people, that's going to be all it takes. It's just basically simply designed to bring customers back. It's unnecessary to offer a discount, because why eat into your profits if you don't have to?
Plus, you're just by reminding them, you're taking away one of the biggest pain points of purchasing in the first place, which is picking things out, right? Because we've lost the ability to do discovery. By purchasing online, now we have to buy with intent. Whereas before, we could wander through a store and be inspired by something and then, purchase something we didn't expect. But now when we go e-commerce, it's kind of like I go there because I know I want to buy something, some shoes or whatever, the specific thing that I want. So you lose that whole discovery process, and because of that, it's a little bit of a chore to pick out the right color, the right size, assuming it's an e-tailer selling clothing and stuff, but the right shoe, the right size, the right color, the right whatever, and then having to come back later and having to do that all over again is kind of a pain. And so giving them sort of like, hey, check it out, we saved it for you. It's still here. You can just click this button and you're immediately on your payment page. Let's do it.
Yeah, so you've highlighted there one of the things that's important about this type of email, which is include a CTA with a link that leads directly back to checkout. So make it as easy as possible to just go click and we're there. I'd also recommend a high quality image of the product. It's going to be, again, kind of feeding off of that emotional connection that they had with the product in the first place. And it makes it super easy for that recipient of that email to go, oh yeah, that's right. I did really like that. Work with what you've got. Show them an image of what they already like. And finally, in this cart abandonment message, you want to make sure that you make it easy for them to reach your customer support in case there's something that they need help with at this stage. That can often send someone away from their cart preemptively if they're like, oh, I just don't have time, or I don't know the answer to that question, to be able to get assistance completing purchase.
So next, you want to take that reminder just one step further. So next in the series of cart abandonment emails is sort of an advanced reminder.
I like advanced.
So you want to state your company's value value add. So you want to state your company's value add right at the start. So for an example, you can remind shoppers that there's a free shipping offer, or that there's a no questions asked return guarantee. Mm-hmm.
You can remind them about their cart and how awesome you are all in one foul swoop right there. So again, we gave another example from a women's fashion line that basically offers a simple reminder about what's been left behind, but also mentions a few points about how purchases involve minimal risk. So it's subtle, but it ultimately gives kind of an added, like, I know you walked away, but there's, not much that's holding you back, and just, make it so that there's fewer pain points. Yeah. Blocking purchase.
It's almost like, when you go into a store and you're trying on a bunch of things, it's really just that salesperson saying to you, did you still want this?
Yeah.
Right. And you have to make a decision rather than just the internal dialogue going, oh, I don't, blah, 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 moving on with my day. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So at this point, if, none of this works, then it may be that customer is price motivated. And so kind of your last ditch effort, I would suggest kind of a 2-part cart abandonment message. One that's just a, hey, did you forget about this? And we're really cool. Like, don't forget all these great features that already exist. if that doesn't work, then you can pull out the incentivized version. Basically, a discount could push them to complete that purchase. So you basically at this stage just have to decide how much loss are you willing to take to make a sale and potentially gain a customer that might buy from you ongoing.
Yeah.
So typically you need to offer at least 10% for this kind of an offer to be effective. Offer whatever you feel is appropriate in your price market, but also add an element of urgency to your discount. So make sure that it's not like anytime you want to come back, feel free to take 50% off. Like make it to where it's a limited period of time. Really push that action. Like take this offer now or don't, but you got to do it within the next day or two.
So you put an example of Levi's, how they do a 25% off offer after you've abandoned your cart. And it's a really nice picture clearly stating, hey, you forgot your thing and here's 25% off if you come back and buy it now.
Yeah,
and it expires in 48 hours.
Yeah. That's right.
So stage 2, repeat buyers or your engaged customers. So with your first sale comes great responsibility, kind of like Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
With great power comes great, anyway. So you're 60 to 70% likely to sell an existing customer versus 5 to 20% off a new prospect. Now, I just made that up, but I put my source in the show notes so you can see that I actually got that from someplace.
Yes, yeah. So email beats out all other marketing tactics for customer retention.
And let me throw this one out there. 40% of e-commerce stores' revenues are created by only 8% of their customers.
And yeah, the 8% are repeat customers. They're hugely profitable. They make up a big chunk of your revenue. So it's hugely important that you focus on them.
Yet e-customer stores devote 80% of their budget to customer acquisition. And the interesting thing is it's not just e-commerce stores that do that. It's regular businesses do that. I mean, you see that all the time. DirecTV says first-time customers get X discount, right? Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, flipping the bird to all of their other customers that are already paying them every single month, they're like, whatever. You guys are on contract. Screw you.
You're not going to leave.
Yeah, you see that with cell phones, contract rates, everything. Everybody wants the new shiny customer, but the new shiny customer is fickle. They're going to walk away. They're going to go shop around. They're going to do all kinds of stuff. But once they purchase from you, they're more likely to purchase again. And those are the customers you want to really take care of and curate and satisfy as much as you can because they're the ones that are going to drive your revenues.
Right. The bulk of your profit is going to come from getting customers who've bought from you before to buy again and again. And there's basically two types of existing customers, those that are fresh and those that are just the occasional customer. So we wanted to break down the type of emails that you would use to retain each of these types of customers.
So fresh customers, customers that have purchased from you recently, they're engaged, they're at the perfect point of the acquisition cycle for certain key touches. So something like a post-purchase good vibes email, right? So you want to keep shoppers engaged. After they've made a purchase, you want to lay the groundwork for further purchases. So you can start with the basics, just like an order confirmation.
Right.
Remember I was mentioning Allbirds last week?
That's right.
Do you remember that?
Remember Allbirds? Yes,
and so,
of course I do.
Yeah, and so they sent me, as soon as I ordered, they sent me a cute little confirmation email with a cute little gift drawing on there, and it really resonated with me. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's a great little piece of branding, and it got me excited. Now, I've seen a few other things from Allbirds since then, because now that I was emotionally invested in this company, I saw Ezra Firestone do a whole segment back in March about Allbirds, and they were talking about how, and they had 5 people in this little panel, that all marketers, and they all happened to be wearing the shoes at the same day, and they were like, well, let's just do a show on freaking Allbirds.
Because obviously it works.
Yeah, and so they were all freaking, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I ended up watching this 30-minute episode on Ezra Firestone breaking down the Allbirds e-commerce store, and I was like, this is really cool. And I wouldn't have watched that normally.
So keep in mind that, again, people open these emails because they're expecting them. The average open rate for an order confirmation email is 70% versus just 18% for regular marketing campaigns. And it's also a great opportunity for you to entice people back to your site with upsells and cross-sells. So you can convert a one-time buyer into a repeat customer. Recommending other products while the customer is waiting for their first product to ship just gives you the opportunity to really work off of that initial excitement for purchase. Related products, cross-sells, upsells of like, hey, this is great. This also works really great with it.
Like we just got an Oculus Go. And that way we could play with the VR and stuff. But as soon as I got it, I realized, how am I going to move this around? Like, where am I going to store this thing? Just put it on a shelf or something? So right now would be the perfect opportunity for Oculus to send me an email that says, hey, thanks for activating your Oculus Go. You've been to the store. You've looked at a couple of games. How about a case for your thing? They could easily upgrade me for $30-$40 if they just send me that right now.
Right.
Or, the other nice thing is if you already know what your cost per acquisition is, let's say your cost per acquisition is $20. If you already know you're going to buy new customers for $20 a piece, why not take that $20 and invest it in your current customers? So you say, hey, you just bought this X thing, right? Really great that you did that. How about $20 off if you buy another Y thing, right? Or so you can do accessories, you can do cross sales like that. And all of this is just investing in your own customers that's already purchased something and they're already more likely to purchase from you.
Now, in an order confirmation email, though, there are a few tips, I guess, which keep in mind, I mean, they're ultimately what they're expecting to see from you is just, thanks for buying this item. Mm-hmm. We've received your order. It's shipping, right? So you want to make sure that your recommendations at this stage, your upsells or your cross sells, don't dominate this message because that's going to be off-putting to this customer. So it's important that your recommendations not be the first thing the customer sees. This order confirm is supposed to be informational, and recommending a few products is just a secondary bonus.
Yeah. And you want to make sure your products are relevant. Like if they purchased, a pair of yoga pants, you don't want to suddenly send them, offers on, pipe fittings.
Right.
They're going to be like, I don't care what this is, right? Amazon, for example, has so many products, they could easily send you anything. But if you're thinking yoga, you might be thinking, oh, well, I also need
a yoga mat.
Or sports bra, or I need something specific rather than, I just want, some other
just more stuff.
Yeah.
And number 3, make sure that you prevent information overload. We really limit recommendations to no more than 5. Even that's a lot. But I've seen some of these follow-up emails from Amazon where they'll do that. They'll just kind of give a block of 5 images at the bottom, and you can click on any of them. It depends on how large of a variety of related products you offer. But you just want to make sure you don't draw attention away from the main purpose of this email.
So another way to kind of strike while the iron is hot for people that just recently purchased is you can send them a review us email. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we've talked about reputation funnels on the podcast before.
I don't know.
I know I just recently talked about it with somebody.
We've talked about social proof and the benefit of getting reviews.
Yeah. So you definitely want to make sure that you're getting reviews because that's how most people are making their choices, especially online, is they're looking at reviews and then deciding to make a purchase. I know we talked about this
That's right, because we talked about the designated landing page with the make it easy as possible and the, sending people to I think it was, in fact, one of the recent episodes. So you've probably all heard this too.
But you want to ask for a review because you want to create that social proof that can continue to resell your brand. And asking for a review helps in lots of ways. You gain valuable social proof, we just mentioned, and you can convince other potential customers to buy based on, hey, look at that. Sally in Oklahoma said it was good. It must be good. Reviews giving you an excuse to check in with your customers post-purchase to remind them that you exist. It can highlight your customer service experience. For example, if they do have something that's wrong, you can catch them before they go out and yell at you on some social website or Yelp or something like that.
Right.
And it gives them an opportunity for repeat purchase. I mean, if they know that, hey, I purchased this thing from you and you didn't just abandon me to the wind afterwards, you're obviously going to be there to continue to take care of me. It gives me more loyalty and continues that experience that I want.
And again, I would say that the effectiveness of this type of an email campaign relates a lot to how you do it. Mm-hmm. I've gotten a lot of these like, hey, you just brought your car in for service. Take the next 7 minutes to review and it's like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. I'm just not. You need to make it short and sweet and make it appreciative. And so for that, we've got a few tips.
Yep.
First off, the timing of this message really matters. You want to send this email within a few days after the customer receives their item. The purchase experience is still fresh in their mind, so it's really the opportune moment to collect a happy review from that customer who's excited about this new thing that they just got and ideally had a good experience with your purchase from start to receipt. So also make sure that they know that you appreciate their feedback. Let customers know that their feedback is valued. It's an interesting concept, but emotionally people just tend to reciprocate the kind of treatment they receive. And so if you tell your customer that their opinion matters, it increases the number of reviews that you'll collect and also drives customers back to buy from you again just because they feel like you appreciate them.
Yep. And give an incentive. It's the easiest way to invite a customer to have a repeat purchase, make customers feel like they're getting something in return for doing you a favor.
That's right.
So it could be a discount that provides that feeling or encourages customers to come back to your store and spend again.
So in the show notes, we include a great example of a review request that also gives an incentive to provide that review along with an appreciative thank you from a company that I know you like, Warby Parker.
Oh, yeah.
You're big into their eyeglass brand. But it says a great big thank you is the big thing that you see first for shopping with Warby Parker. It asks for feedback. So we love our customers dearly. Your feedback is helpful for us to hear. So please answer a quick survey and we'd be really grateful. And then right underneath that, it says, if you complete the survey by Monday. So it gives a very defined timeline to create some sort of incentive and motivation to act now instead of just leaving this message in their inbox where it's going to be forgotten. You'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card, and then winners will be notified by Tuesday. So it's like a very defined, like you can have a chance to win this thing. So it doesn't mean you're going to get $100. It just means you're going to get some benefit from completing what is ultimately a favor for the customer, getting your feedback. In order for those customers that do take the action you want, you're saying, we appreciate you enough that we're going to give you something in return.
And who couldn't use a $100 gift card from Amazon?
Right?
Like I've already spent that already.
I know.
I'm just going to go do it.
So obviously it would be great if customers bought repeatedly and frequently, but it's more common for a customer to be an occasional customer. And that brings us to those emails that are focused on these types of customers. This is going to be the vast majority of your customers, those that buy from you occasionally, not over and over and over again. This is the group of customers that's at most risk of becoming disengaged. So you want to basically take a specific approach if you want to drive sales from this group of customers. You want to remind them that you exist with brand awareness and mix these messages with special promotions so that it doesn't feel like it's all like offer.
Yeah. So for an example, there's a retail shoe company that I was talking to about setting up an online sales platform for them and using email to drive sales. And one of the things they said is they sold running shoes. And they said that the customers are extremely loyal to the specific running shoe they purchase. So they'll purchase, ASICS 852s. And they'll buy those every year. But ASICS comes out with a new version of the 852 every 6 months to keep the customer purchasing. And so when a customer walks in and says, hey, do you have any 852s in? They're just looking for the very next one. But they were essentially, as a retail store, just waiting for that customer to stumble in and remember, oh, that's where I bought them last time, so I should buy them. Yeah. And of course, they could buy them on Amazon, anywhere else. But they were fiercely loyal to a very specific style and brand. And so he said, well, why don't we know what the life cycle is. We know that it's every 6 months. Why don't we just send them at the 5-month mark an email reminder that says, hey, by the way, the new 852s are coming out and last time you bought them in size 11.5. How about if I send them to you, whatever. And they could pre-purchase it at maybe a slight discount or, for the free shipping or whatever it is.
Or just feel like they're in the first wave of being able to get this new shoe.
Yeah.
The excitement of
And so if your product that you're selling has a specific life cycle, either because it's a consumable, like let's say it's protein powder or it's some sort of supplement, or if it's got a life cycle because it's a piece of clothing because it only lasts for a certain season or whatever, you can use that to take the next step and remind your customer, hey, the next step in this journey is this thing. And here you go. And that can help re-engage those customers. So if they bought summer dresses over the summertime, then you say, oh, well, you know what? They probably will want winter dresses if they make that sort of thing, right?
Of course they do.
Yeah, there you go.
Of course they do. So another option for your occasional customer is the loyalty reward email. This is basically an encouragement to those customers that like to feel exclusive and special. It's one of the reasons why, like you mentioned, brands launch new products with a limited stock. So it makes basically that first round of customers feel special and creates buzz. So this would have been a great tie-in for that shoe company that you were just mentioning. You can mimic this feeling with loyalty reward emails. This basically provides a specific offer to your customer, and you want to mention why they received it. So we gave, again, an example from a company called Dressabelle. It's their loyalty reward email in the show notes. It encourages ongoing brand engagement and encourages spending by basically saying you're only, 17 points away from a bigger discount because of this loyalty brand and, shows appreciation, but also encourages them to really want to competitively keep up to get to that next level. So it's got a couple really great ways of doing that. The goal with these emails is to make your customer feel like they're special, make them feel like royalty, and tell them how thankful you are for their business.
So another way to re-engage customers that are kind of falling or not engaged, you can send them a birthday email. This is pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
It's make the customer feel like they're special and appreciated, assuming you're getting, obviously, their birthday at time of purchase. Just say, hey, we want to send you a little gift on your birthday. What's your birthday? And they can just fill out a quick little form.
Starbucks does this, I know. You get that, if you're part of their royalty or their rewards program, you get that free coffee for your birthday, and it's for a limited time, but it certainly drives you in, and in all likelihood, you're probably going to buy something for someone else while you're in there. Yeah. So them getting you in the door is like a win, and it builds brand just friendliness. Like you're like, oh, that's so nice of them to think of me on my birthday. It basically encourages them, if you're going to give them some sort of incentive or discount or money off, which I would suggest that you present it more as a gift card or just not a requirement
or
of a purchase.
Voucher,
yeah, those like 30% off, 50% off. For me, I don't get motivated by that as a buyer when it's on, because I can see the duplicity of that like gift. I'm like, okay, whatever. But if you actually give it like as free money, inevitably people are going to spend more than the discount you give them, but make it look like it's a no strings attached kind of thing. It gives the opportunity for you to encourage them to get themselves the gift that they really want, for example. So some tips here would be, you want to, if you're going to use a coupon, make sure that it's something that's pretty irresistible. Again, I don't really like the coupon as much as the gift certificate, gift credit kind of thing. Send the offer on their actual birthday. This is important because basically that kind of festive spirit of the day is going to, make them more inclined to be like, yeah, I totally do deserve something special on my birthday. Even if it wasn't their intent to visit your store, it just kind of puts you back in their mind, and they're like, hey, not only happy feelings because they're like, well, that was nice of them to give me something for my birthday. I'm going to totally go and use that.
And then you can send them the a kind of a reminder offer the day after their birthday,
or even the week after their birthday. It just depends.
Because on your birthday, you're usually pretty busy.
Right.
You got to go to Denny's, get your free meal.
Of course.
Right? And then all your friends and family are obviously just drowning you in gifts.
Of
and
course.
so the next day or the next week, you get, hey, just a reminder, you still got this $20 to spend over here.
And if you don't, depending on your product or your brand and what information you collect about that customer, you can also celebrate other occasions like anniversaries and holidays with this same sort of discount.
So you can also send a company update email. This is just something, just avoid being overly promotional in this, but you can give occasional customers, they'll see you in your inbox if you're just talking about like what's happening with the company, like a new product that's under development, or there's a new launch date, or there's an upcoming event and you want them to be present for that.
Yeah, again, this is a great opportunity to stay just generally engaged with those customers that aren't actively engaged with you anymore. It drives excitement in your brand, but generally keeps you just back on their radar. So we gave an example from Chick-fil-A that was really great because it not only drives excitement and engagement with kind of like this little like teaser. It basically says we're rolling out something big coming June 1st, and that's it. Like, it doesn't really give you a lot of more detail until you read down further, and it like makes you really go, oh, okay, they're introducing a new cow calendar card holders and how they interact. Interesting. Okay, now the next email that I get from them, I'm probably going to open because I'm interested in that to figure out what exactly it is that they're doing.
You're just building the hype. It's the same thing like Apple does, is, hey, we're coming out with something fantastic on June 6th. Be sure to stay tuned on blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, what's that? What's Apple coming out with?
So stage 3 is for lapsed buyers or inactive customers.
So sad. So losing a few customers can be expected, but you want to try to win back customers that have become inactive or dropped off the radar. There's very little risk, but there's a lot to gain.
That's right. When a customer hasn't opened an email or bought from you within a certain period of time frame, they're in the process of lapsing, and how long that takes for a customer to be considered lapsing really depends on your specific purchase cycle. If your price point is low and people tend to buy monthly or even every few months, it's easy to identify lapsing customers. But if you've got more of an annual or a longer purchase cycle, it can make it harder to identify.
So some common reasons why customers might drop off is maybe their circumstances have changed, or they've switched to a new email account, or maybe they had a bad experience with your brand and they didn't mention it to you, or they only bought from you because of a special, rare, or super amazing deal.
Yeah. And customers are sensitive to their reasons, so you need to create messaging that resonates with them in order to get them to reconsider buying from you.
Yeah. So the first segment, at-risk customers, can go into two basic categories. The lapsing customers or inactive customers that are at risk of being lost permanently, or lapsed customers that have forgotten about you.
Yeah, so basically that means you're going to segment this group of customers into lapsing or lapsed. And we gave an example in the show notes of an RFM matrix that basically lets you kind of visualize how to segment these customers and what kinds of messages to give them. RFM meaning recency from last order in months, and that's basically the most important measurement of customer health. Frequency is the F, the number of orders that they've given in a specific year, and then monetary value is the M. Low, medium, high, for example, based on your average order value. This really allows you to identify the most valuable customers that you are most likely losing, so that you can highly target those ones that are kind of the ones most worthy of your effort. And basically, you want to be more aggressive with lapsed customers that are
high value,
and more aggressive with those that have actually lapsed than those that are deemed inactive.
So in the show notes, you put an actual example of one of these matrices in there,
Yes.
so you can kind of see what it looks like.
So for an inactive customer, one potential option, we're going to give a couple different email styles that you can choose to try out and see what works best for your customer and your brand. So one would be basically the emotional appeal email. Everyone likes to hear that they're missed. It makes them feel special and valued. So you want to basically use this tactic to just grab a customer's attention, pique their curiosity, get them to open your email. So you're going to use phrases like, "We miss you," or "We're sad when you're away" in your subject line, but also in your email copy. And basically, once they open it, you want to give a really irresistible reason for them to come back to your site or your store.
So Pinkberry achieves this, and we give you an example in the show notes of Pinkberry doing it. And essentially, it says, "We miss you," nice and big right there. And it says, "A free yogurt has been added to your pink card. Visit Pinkberry today and enjoy." So it's not giving them a discount, but it's essentially saying, "Hey, we're giving you a free yogurt. You just got to come in and pick it up."
Right.
Right?
Everybody loves free. I know I love free. I know I told you a story about how for Donut Day, I was like racking my brain trying to figure out how to get to Krispy Kreme with the kids because I was like, they're free. And then it occurred to me, wait a second, donuts are normally like $1 a piece, and I'm going to like drive my butt out like 15 miles to get a free donut. What am I thinking? So know the allure of the free. But if you're unable to give away a small gift, you can also provide a discount, even just thanking customers for their previous business to like you're giving them appreciation, or provide them with an update of what they've missed while they've been away, like new stuff, or, so it's just kind of an opportunity to re-engage.
So another one is the Hail Mary discount email.
That's right.
So if inactive customers still don't bite, you just have to up the ante a little bit.
Yeah. Up until now, you've probably used small discounts here and there to entice interested and engaged customers to purchase from you. But if you fear that a customer might be lost, you're probably going to have to offer something bigger, a discount that's like so big your customer can't help but act on it. Even if you have to take a loss at this point, your goal is to just get them reacquainted with buying from you so that they're going to get back on the train of buying from you and remembering how great your product and your brand is.
So next is the passive aggressive email, which is always one of my favorites.
Yes.
So if the previous emails may work on recently lapsed customers, but if someone has been inactive for a long time, they may have forgotten all about you. So sending an emotional or promotional email out of the blue will probably get you marked as spam.
That's right. So it's unfortunately kind of time to be a little passive aggressive. Basically, let customers know they're about to be unsubscribed. Again, you don't want to keep customers on your list that don't want to hear from you, or that have already segregated you to a junk mail in their own email provider folder. You don't want to create that sort of just negative brand connection.
We in our agency, we call this the bum message. It's the breakup message.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know this is it, guys. I'm breaking up with you.
I'm not going to keep harassing you. I'm not going to keep connecting with you.
Yep.
We gave an example in the show notes of a really great one from Urban Outfitters. They make it look like a text message that's got it, the from at the top of the text message is BFF. It says, from your BFF. Are we seriously breaking up? This sucks. We love you. Can we please stay together forever? Check. Yes, our love is real and I want to receive Urban Outfitters emails, or no, it's totally over. Goodbye. Remove me from your list. Yeah. Super cutesy. And, obviously that customer that receives that message is going to stop for a second and be like, oh, well, I kind of don't want to break up with you because, it's not that serious. I just haven't responded lately. So if they're actually reading your messages, there's a high likelihood that this style of connectivity, they might feel a smidge guilty. And they may even take the necessary steps to stay on your list, which is great. It also just brings your brand to the top of their mind. And if they truly don't want anything more to do with you, at least you have the opportunity to get some valuable feedback.
So sometimes it's time to let go.
Yep.
So sometimes you just have to accept defeat.
And if after all of your efforts to re-engage, your customer still won't open your emails, send them one final email letting them know of the terrible, terrible news that you're going to be taking them off your list, but give them a link so that they can get back on your list in case they change their mind.
A nice, healthy list obviously can continue to drive sales over and over again, and you don't want to keep wasting your time and energy with an audience that just isn't interested. So sometimes you just got to be like, we're not going to date anymore. We're all done.
Yep. All right, so the last 2 episodes have given you a lot of material to work with.
The main takeaway is that e-commerce emails need to deliver the right message at the right time.
Right. Sending the same email over and over is going to damage your brand and get you tagged as spam. But the right message at the right time can return dividends for years to come.
So put in the time to build out your email series in an email automation program now, and you can live off those royalties. My favorite kind of money is the kind that keeps coming.
Me too. All right, so that's it for today. Be sure to head over to growthmarketeracademy.com to check out the show notes and links to the resources we talked about today.
And if you like what you're hearing, make sure that you rate us and leave us a review.
We are actually going to be taking a week or 2 off. Surprise, surprise. We have a little vacation that we have had planned for a while, and it's screwing up our production cycle. But don't think we've abandoned you. We will be back with more exciting ways to drive your digital marketing, with episodes covering how to build and sustain an online community and how to run Facebook ads. Good stuff is coming.
I'm Ryan Eldridge.
And I'm Andrea Eldridge.
Thanks for listening to Growth Marketer Academy.
This has been Growth Marketer Academy with Ryan and Andrea Eldridge.